أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome everybody. Jazakumullah for arriving early. Welcome to our very first class of G2 2024. Let's start straight away with dua, and I'll call a student to the mic. G333. Assalamu alaikum. G333. Can you unmute?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, darling. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Okay, sweetheart. So we are always going to start our class by asking Allah for His help in our learning. And if I ask you to follow with me, Dawood and then Tasmiyah, okay? If I recite and you follow, if everybody else listens very, very closely and also follows, okay?
Okay.
Okay. أعوذ بالله
أعوذ بالله
أعوذ بالله
أعوذ بالله
من الشيطان
من الشيطان
من الشيطان
من من الشيطان
الرجيم.
الرجيم.
MashaAllah. We will work on all of this pronunciation, okay? Inshallah. Can you read the English translation, sweetheart?
I seek refuge with Allah from Satan, the rejected.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. And this little bit of writing here as well.
While we recite
Dawood.
Tawud before reciting Quran, Allah tells us in chapter 16, verse 99, and when the reciters Quran, seek refuge with Allah from Satan the rejected.
MashaAllah. Okay, let's move on to Tasmiyah. Okay, so I will recite and you follow, okay?
Okay.
Bismillah.
Bismillah.
Rahman.
Rahman.
Rajim.
Rajim.
And the English translation, darling.
In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful.
MashaAllah. And then the bit of writing here at the bottom.
Reciting Bismillah before every deed invokes the best blessing of Allah upon that deed. It is sunnah to recite it before every good deed.
MashaAllah. Okay, so let's move on. Today is Monday, and we will have a different prayer for each day. And this is the prayer that we'll have for Monday. So again, if I recite and you follow, and everybody else also recites as well, please. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri. MashaAllah. Okay, and the English translation?
Lord, expand my mind and make my task easy for me.
And the reference here, darling.
Taha 26 to 27.
Okay, well done. Do you know what Taha is?
No.
No? Okay, not to worry. Have a read of the white writing here.
The Holy Quran has 114 chapters. Taha is the name of chapter 20. It has 136 verses. The above dua can be found in verse 26 to 27 of Surah Taha.
MashaAllah, yes. So, this prayer is actually found in the Holy Quran. And as you've just read out, the Holy Quran, the most wonderful book that you'll ever recite, has 114 chapters, and each chapter is known by a name. Often we will refer to it by number. So we start at chapter number 1 and we work all the way through to chapter 114. Surah Taha is chapter number 20. Within each chapter, there are what we call verses, which are a little bit like paragraphs. And in Surah Taha, there are 136 verses. This particular dua is found in verse 26 to 27. And maybe later on, if you have some time, you could sit down with your mom and dad and find this dua in the Holy Quran. Okay? Okay. All right, then. Jazakumullah. Lovely start to the class. Allah Hafiz for now. And we will now move on to the rest of our class. So, today is our opening session. So our class is going to be slightly different to the normal procedure, because we need to just give you some guidance as to what we're going to do in the course and how best that you can learn from it. If you have a mum and dad sitting with you, alhamdulillah, lovely. If you don't, see if you can give them a shout and ask them to come over and sit down for about half an hour, okay? And we just go through some a presentation. So if they're not there, give them a shout and ask them to come over. Okay, so let's move on to the presentation. And if I can, I'm just going to, if you just bear with me, Shabni, Saiba, I'm just going to make you co-host, and if I can ask you, please kindly admit any students who arrive a little bit late. Okay. Okay, so welcome. To G2 online Quran reading course, which is an offering of Talimul-Quran Waqf Department, UK. And in this presentation, we're going to give you some general guidelines for how G2 2024 will be delivered and what its purpose is and how you can best benefit. And it's guidelines for parents and students. Okay, so G2, what is G2 and who is it for? G2 is a course that's meant to equip students with some guided experience of Quran reading so that they're able to then apply the rules of recitation correctly by themselves. It's for Atfal and Nasirat, ages 6 to 12. And the students that we have are of mixed standard and mixed ability. So some students will have recited the Quran several times over, and some will not have done that. And some students will be very quick on the uptake, and others will take a little bit longer. Everyone is welcome. The minimum criteria is that you should have reached the G1 graduate stage, which means that you should have finished Qaida at least once. Parental involvement is really important. We like older people, maybe older brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, grandparents even, or mums and dads, ideally, to be sitting with the students, because we can't see you, but your parents can, and they'll be able to see whether you've understood something and how best to help you after class. Sometimes you may need to ask us some questions, and your mum and dad will then be able to send an email maybe to ask. So where does G2 sit within the G courses and the Talimul-Quran Waqf Department's offerings? So as I said, Talimul-Quran Waqf Department is the department that offers the G2 course, and there are quite a few G courses. Some are for Lajna, some are for families, and they offer a variety of courses. But G2 is one of 3 courses that are specifically for Atfal and Nasirat. So if I just go through, G1 is the first course that is offered, and that starts in the September of an academic year. And in G1, we teach Qaida, and we use the book, the Bil-Qur'an, and we learn the core rules of Tajweed. We go through from lessons 5 to 21 in that book. And many of you have done G1, so you will know what I'm talking about. Okay. Once G1 is finished, then G2 starts. And today is the first day of G2 2024. And in G2, we're going to practice correct recitation using another book called Nisabul Hifz. And you will see soon enough the syllabus that we'll have. Now, students who come to G2 can join G2 without having been on G1. There is no prerequisite of having been on G1. Not everybody from G1 goes on to G2, and not everybody at G2 has done G1, but that's fine. When you finish G2, there is another course that starts afterwards, after Ramadan this year, and it's known as G3. And in G3, it's a Hifz course, and we start you off on memorizing a selected portion of the Holy Quran. You can join G3 without having been on G1 or G2. So all of these courses are standalone in that you can apply and join it in any of them without having done the others. Now, after G3, students can apply to Al-Hafizun, which is based in Batul in London. And at Al-Hafizun, the focus is on Hifz, and their students memorize selected portions of the Holy Quran using the Nisabul Hifz curriculum. It's a 1-year course, and the entry to Al-Hafizun is dependent on completing G3 as well as an interview. So Al-Hafizun is the first stage in which you have to have completed something beforehand before you can apply to it. Now, after Al-Hafizun, there is the Madrasatul Hifz, and that's also based in Batul, but there are online classes as well. And the madrasa, the focus is on memorizing the whole Quran, and that's a 3-year course. And the entry to that is dependent on successful completion of Al-Hafizun and an interview. And after 3 years, inshallah, you could, in theory, become a Hafiz. So that's the progression that a student could go through. So a 6-year-old could start G1, and then 5 years later, if they follow all the rules and follow the guidance and put in the effort and the practice, by the age of 11, they could, in theory, be a Hafiz. So these are the stages that we offer. So that's where G2 sits, okay? Okay, course delivery. We're going to have an 8-week term, starting today, the 7th of January, and we'll finish on Thursday, the 7th of March. It's only 8 weeks this year. It's a little bit shorter than normal because Ramadan is coming, and we are going to finish beforehand. The classes are going to be Monday to Thursday, 6 o'clock till 7 o'clock, although in practice, the classes will finish before 6:55, just before 65. And that's to allow the next class to start on time. The style of teaching that we're going to have is Monday to Wednesday, everybody will be in one large room and one teacher will take that large group. And students will be called to mic. Everybody has to listen very closely and attentively to what the teacher is reciting and how a child is reciting and the feedback that's given, because the feedback that's given to one child is usually applicable to all children. If anyone's going to make a mistake, the chances are everybody else will be making the same mistake. So the teacher's feedback is really important. On a Thursday, inshallah, we will split the class into possibly 3 smaller groups, and there'll be a dedicated teacher in each of those groups. And on Thursday, what we've practiced during the week, you can then recite to a teacher and then get direct feedback one-to-one. You will have homework. It's not too much. The Nisab al-Hifz selections that we'll cover in class, those are the selections that we expect you to practice afterwards. We have lots of tools available to help you. So inshallah, it won't be difficult at all. The syllabus, what we're going to cover in this course is 15 lessons of the Quran, and you'll have all of you will have covered those sorts of lessons before, so they're going to act as revision, and we'll focus mostly on the terminology within the Quran, so that you become confident in being able to speak about what you're reading and how you're reading it. And we'll also use the Nisab al-Hifz, and we've got 23 prayers from the Holy Quran and 23 commandments from the Holy Quran that we will cover. And we are going to be aiming at correct pronunciation and achieving fluency in those prayers and those commandments, inshallah. Okay, so events and activities. As I said, the term is 8 weeks. It's not 9 weeks, it's 8 weeks. And what will happen in those 8 weeks? Okay. So here is January. Okay. On the 8th, we start the course. What's in blue, every Thursday, there'll be what we call breakout rooms. So that's when we split the class into smaller sections to allow you more one-to-one interaction with the teacher. This week on a Thursday is a little bit different because we'll have a presentation as well to set you up for the rest of the term. In red, there is a quiz. So we do have some interactive quizzes, multiple choice, and they're always very popular and a lot of fun. So we'll have one on Wednesday the 24th. And we will start off by having our classes, and we're going to be focusing on correct pronunciation of certain difficult letters. But by the 31st, we'll be moving on to practicing what we call the hard words of Tilawat. And we will, inshallah, go through one of those later on today so that you have an idea of what you've got to look forward to. In February, again, in red is the quiz. So on the 7th, there'll be a quiz. We will have breakout rooms on the Thursdays. Half-term break comes along on the 19th. There'll be no classes in half-term. And then Thursday the 29th is a Jalsa Yawm Muslimo, the Islam, and we will have that on the Thursday. My assistant in charge, she will be sending out fairly soon all the activities that we'll have, and we will ask you to send in recordings so that you could take part in our online Jalsa. And in March, on the 7th, is our concluding session. So there's some events for your diary. All of this presentation is available on our drive, which I will show you in a short while. Okay, so the class routine. Okay, as I said, classes are Monday to Thursday, 6 till 6:55. So let's have a look at what you're going to be expecting in that 55 minutes. Okay, so this is a schedule that you'll have for tomorrow. So this is the class 2 on the 9th of January. So in the first 5 minutes, there will be what we call the assembly. So we will have the opening dua that I started off with today. And if there's any announcements, the teacher will also make those announcements as well in that time. In the next 15 minutes, we'll cover a rule. Sometimes there'll only be 10 minutes. Sometimes if it's a little bit more to cover, then we'll spend a little bit longer. And tomorrow, the rule that we'll cover is short vowels. And then for the next 15 minutes after that, we'll move into a prayer from the Holy Quran. And we will be using Nisabul Hifz. And the reference that you see there is the page number in Nisabul Hifz. And the prayer number in Nisabul Hifz is number 1. And the Quranic reference is chapter 7, verse 24. Then for about 5 minutes, we will focus on the correct pronunciation of a commonly mispronounced letter. And tomorrow the focus will be on the letter Tha. So a teacher will go through how to correctly pronounce it and how to avoid making it sound like a different letter. And then for the next 10 minutes, we will focus on a commandment from the Holy Quran. And tomorrow, the commandment that we'll use will be from Nisabul Hifz, page number 71. And it's the number 1 commandment in the order that's in Nisabul Hifz. And the Quranic reference is chapter 2, verse 22. And then for the last 5 minutes of the class, I will consolidate by reminding ourselves what we've covered in the class, give out the homework, and do the concluding dua, and then we will close the class. So that's the rough breakdown of the class, and it keeps everybody's interest, small chunks of time. Now, Monday to Wednesday, it will be teacher-led. The teacher will be teaching, so she will be guiding students as to how to correctly pronounce, how to overcome certain difficulties, and the students will recite back, and everybody else who's not on the mic will listen and practice at home, even though they're not on the mic. Now, on a Thursday, it's slightly different. Okay, so this is for next Thursday, which will be the 18th. You'll still have the 5 minutes of the opening assembly. And then for 20 minutes, the prayers from the Holy Quran that we've covered during the week, you can recite those back to a teacher. Okay, so inshallah, there'll be time for everybody to have a go to recite those back. And then for 10 minutes, the focus will be on the teacher listening to the mispronounced letters that we've covered during the week and seeing whether you've mastered how to pronounce them properly. And then the next 15 minutes will be the commandments that were covered during the week. Students can recite to the teacher and she can give feedback as to how well you're doing. And again, the last 5 minutes will be on consolidating and just telling you what we've done during the class and if there's any homework at all. Okay. And as I said, this will be student-led on a Thursday. So the practice that you've put in, the teacher will be able to listen to and give you feedback. Okay, etiquettes. There's some etiquettes is just a big fancy word for manners and how we expect you to behave. And the first thing is that we expect you to arrive early. The class will start at 6 o'clock on the dot. Today I delayed it by a couple of minutes just to allow some students to come through because the first day is always a little bit slow. But we do expect you to log in early. So try and log in by about 10 to 6, 5 to 6, so that you're there ready for the teacher to start. We do expect you to have done wudu before you come to class because we are going to be reciting from Quran. And we also expect you to be wearing clean clothes. You wouldn't go to school or to the mosque wearing dirty clothes. So we do expect you to be in clean clothes. As per our tradition, we expect our students to have their heads covered. Members of Atfal should have a topi or a cap, and Nasrat should have a dupatta or a scarf. Correct ID. You've all been assigned an ID which begins with the letter G and then there's some numbers. So I'm just going to have a glance through the participants list, and alhamdulillah, the vast majority of you are using what I'm presuming is your correct ID. Some of you have actually used the password for the class, and others have used just their name. Okay, so for the first week, we do allow a little bit of grace whilst you get used to it. But just remember that if you're signed in with your correct ID, then we'll call you to the mic. Okay, but if you're not signed in with your correct ID, firstly, you're never going to be called to the mic because we need to know who we're going to call to the mic. And after about a week, we will stop allowing anybody who's incorrectly ID'd into the classroom. Okay, so just like as in a real school, you would only have pupils of that school in the classrooms and in the corridors. The same in our online classroom. We expect students who are registered on our course. If you know somebody who wants to join the course, don't feel free to share the link. Ask them to apply, okay? To send in an email, and then we can give them an ID and then accommodate them. We do like to have parents present with their children because the parents are the home teachers. And as parents go through the journey with their children, then they also learn and they also interact. And it's a really good bonding exercise when a parent sits with their child. So we do hope that the parents do sit with their children, especially when they're younger. And very important, you should be sitting in a quiet place. When you come to the mic, we should be able to hear you, and you should be able to hear us, and everybody else should also be able to hear what is happening on the mic. And if there's a noisy background where there's a young baby brother or sister running around making lots of noise, then that means that no one's really going to learn, okay? So it's really important that you sit in a quiet place. And stay until the end. We're going to start by asking Allah for His help in our learning, and we will end the class by asking Allah to help us retain that learning and keep and make us take maximum benefit for it. So we do expect you to stay until the end. Okay, so we started the class today with a prayer. Now, you will see always on the bottom right-hand corner a day. So each day there'll be a different prayer. Today you had Monday's prayer, and on Wednesday will be a different prayer. There'll always be the translation and the reference and an explanation of that reference as well, so that you learn not just what to recite, but you also learn where it comes from and why you have to recite it. Okay, knowledge is power. Okay, so resources. As I said, the syllabus is based on the Bil-Qur'an and Nisabul Hifz. And we're going to be covering 23 prayers from the Holy Quran and 23 commandments. So this particular document, I will try and get that into the chat, but it's also available on the drive. So I will show you on the drive in a few moments. We have lots and lots of resources that are of benefit to you that you can make use of. We have apps where you can actually download and access the Bil-Qur'an digitally. Whether you have an Android phone or an iOS, you can get hold of the Bil-Qur'an via the apps. We have a Google Drive where all the material that we use in class is there. There is also on Al-Islam tilawat that you can listen to, and there's some reciters that you can go to, and you can pick your favorite, and then you can listen to how somebody who actually knows and is really experienced how they recite, and then you can learn from them as well. And obviously the Holy Quran, you can access it digitally on our website alislam.org, and all the links are there, and I will try and get that into the chat in a short while. We also have a website, the Talimul-Quran and Waqf website, and the link is there in this particular resource. Okay, I will show you the drive in a short while, but the book, the Bil-Qur'an, this is what it looks like. And if you want to buy a hard copy, it's available from Battlefield Bookshop, Masjid Fazl Bookshop, all the major book depots across the country. if you really want one and you can't get to one of the mosques, you can ask your local publication secretary to get hold of a copy. It's around £4 for a copy. And having the hard copy is really, really worthwhile. There's a wealth of information in there that you can use. Nisab al-Hifz looks like this. And the portions that we're going to use from it are also on the drive. Okay, I will show you the drive in a short while, but practice text. Okay, so daily tilawat, you are going to be practicing basically Quran reading, okay? Okay, bear with me for a second. Oh, yes, okay. So every day we will be giving you homework, and there will be the homework that we set for you in class. But if you're reading the Quran, we expect you to read the Quran as well. So after class, we expect you, if you can, okay, some of you are very young and you may find that your bedtime routine comes along. So you may have to do it maybe in the morning when you get up before you go to school. But we would like you to practice the prayer from the Holy Quran and the commandment of the Holy Quran that were covered in the class, okay? If you are reading the Holy Quran already, okay, and you're on your journey, do carry on, continue reading with that. Don't stop that in order to practice what we've covered in class. You can do both. They shouldn't be taking you that much time that you can't do both. The letters that we cover, the mispronounced letters, revise what we taught you in class, learn where the letter sound comes from, and do make sure that you can recite that letter properly. And when we move on to the hard words of tilawat, practice according to the technique that we show. Although they're called hard words, if you apply simple step-by-step rules, then they become quite easy. And all the links that we provide you, you can use those for accessing the material and listening to tilawat. And that can help you outside of class when your teacher isn't there. Okay, so some general guidelines for our course. Daily attendance. This is actually extremely important. In fact, is vital to the success that you'll achieve in this course. It'll provide you exposure to all the lessons and live practice. And if you find that something has happened and you can't come to class, not to fret. All of our classes are recorded and uploaded to YouTube quite promptly, so you can actually catch up. But we do advise you to come to the class because the live practice is much better. We will have some quizzes to help you revise in a fun way. And we usually have a fair number of presentations, but there is a shorter term this time, so there's a reduced number. There's going to be one Jalsa this year, and you will be invited to participate. We'll give you some details nearer the time. Every day you'll have a different teacher, one per day. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you'll have 3 different teachers. But on Thursday, inshallah, there'll be 3 teachers in the breakout rooms so that we can split the class up and you can have one-to-one attention, inshallah. If you need to contact us at all, that's the email address, ukquranclass@gmail.com. Okay, so now that basically concludes my opening presentation. But what I'm going to do is just take you to the drive. Okay, so if you just bear with me for a second, okay? Okay, so the address to that drive, I just copy that, okay, and I'll pop that into the chat right now, okay, so that you can access the drive straight away. On the drive, you will find, okay, the curriculum that we're going to follow is posted there already. The prayers from the Holy Quran that we're going to be using, we've taken those out of the Sabul Hifz and they're there. And the commandments that we're going to be using, they're also there. We've highlighted them within there. The resources folder, PDF that I was showing you, that's already there as well. And the lessons from the Talimul Quran are in this folder. Week one's material is already there as well. And if I open that folder, you'll find 3 classes there. And if I open up tomorrow's class, you will see all the material that we'll use is there. So don't worry that you at the moment don't have any of the material. It's all available to you, and every week we update this drive so you can always access. The address for that, the link for that drive is in the chat. Okay. Okay, so with that, I will now go back to our prayer. Okay, so we're now at 20 to 7. As I say, this is our first class and it's not the usual format because we needed to give you some information. We do have our head teacher in class and I invite him to the mic in order to give you some, to address you. So, Jazakumullah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. By the grace of Allah, today, as you have just heard from the in charge of G2 course, this is our first session in which our Atfal and Nasirat registrants, they are attending, they are participating. Online classes were started in United Kingdom, Jamaat, in March 2017. And so by the grace of Allah, this is our consecutive 7th year of online classes which we are organizing, organized by National Talimul-Quran and Waqf Department. In this year, the format and the objective of the class, objective is the same, but the format of the classes have been changed. Now, these classes, which you are going to attend for the next 8 or 9 weeks or up to 7th March this year, they are closely connected to the Al-Hafizun program. Al-Hafizun, a brief introduction is that the Al-Hafizun is a Hifzul Quran project which was set up under the guidance of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih al-Rabi, rahimahullah ta'ala, the 4th Khalifatul Masih, back in September 2000 in Baitul Futuh. Now, by the grace of Allah, Al-Hafizun has turned into now a Hifzul Quran Academy. There is a set criteria for acceptance that, and there are many stages to progress. Now, as you have heard that G1 class is just a starting point from zero, making starting from letters, and then combined letters, and then reading the verses of the Holy Quran. So basically, kaida initial that stage. Now, after reading those initial lessons, now G2 syllabus has been linked with Nisabul Hifz. So Nisabul Hifz is mean that syllabus for minimum syllabus for to start the memorization of the Holy Quran. And Nisabul Hifz, there is a book already printed by Jamaat. It is a A5 book in which there are 40 chapters, 40 portions have been mentioned. Some are the small chapters, some are portions from or ruku from the Holy Quran. So basically Nisabul Hifz has 3 portions. I like to give you more introduction. G3 course, before that, it was linked to Al-Hafizun because one of the requirement to be accepted for interview and test for Al-Hafizun to complete G3 course. But now it has been G2 also linked with that one. G3 course, inshallah, after Ramadan, that will start. Now, I will give you a brief introduction of Nisabul Hifz. Nisabul Hifz basically has three parts. The first is Ayatul Quran, verses of the Holy Quran, which have been taken from the different parts of the Holy Quran, which are well known and famous. And basically, in these verses of the Quran, the first part, which I mentioned of Nisabul Hifz, that include all those verses and chapters which our beloved Imam Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Khamis Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Nasir Aziz recite in daily prayers, especially in Fajr, Maghrib, and Isha. Okay. And the second part is, as you can see on the screen, that is about the Adiyatul Quran, meaning the prayers of the Holy Quran, which are named after the prophets and the believers, meaning Hazrat Ibrahim والسلام, has made several prayers. They have been included the prayers of the Holy Prophet Muhammad وسلم, the prayer of Hazrat Moses, Musa والسلام, and so on. So these prayers have been included in Nisabul Hifz with the translation. And then the third part is Ahkamul Quran. Ahkam is a singular, is a plural of hukm. Hukm means the commandment, order, commandment, hukm. Ahkamul Quran means the commandments of the Holy Quran. There are so many commandments in the Holy Quran, but in this book, for the ease of memorization and keeping in mind the age, 100 commandments have been selected, and most of them carry only or include only 3 or 4 words, the words of the Quran. So in this case, after completing G2 course, meaning the prayers of the Holy Quran, to some extent reading practice, and the verses of the Holy Quran, then the next course, which is to memorize these portions as far as possible. Sometime a particular surah is given for that course. Like in the previous courses, we have done Suratul Rahman and sometime other chapters. So G3 course, which is going to start after Ramadan, will be super easy if you complete G2 course regularly and you complete that one, because in this way you will be well aware about the course of the Nisab, which is going to be memorized being a student Al-Hafizun. You will also, even if you are not going to Al-Hafizun, at least you are able to read the Holy Quran confidently, better than before. You may memorize some portions of the Holy Quran, which you can utilize in your daily prayers. Or if you complete that G2 course, your reading will be good. And if you further complete G3 course, which is after Ramadan for the 10 weeks, 9-10 weeks, then there is a higher chance that you will pass the selection test and interview at Al-Hafizun. And once you are a student of Al-Hafizun, the first stage is to complete the Nisabul Hifz, meaning all the 40 portions of the Holy Quran and the prayers of the Holy Quran and the commandments of the Holy Quran. So, and then the further, we have the full Hifz program, as you have been shown on the screen and explained by the course in charge. So basically, there is a 7 years a learning ladder, starting from the very beginning and then becoming a confident reader of the Holy Quran, and ultimately memorizers of the Holy Quran. Okay, by the grace of Allah, now so far, several individuals, male and female, our Atfal and Nasrat, they have completed the memorization of the Holy Quran, and they are now committed to the memory entire Hifz, and you can do as well. So this was the brief introduction of this program. And after that, we now do some dua. And with this hope and belief, conviction that you will regularly take part in these classes on time, and you should be able to complete that course until the 7th March, so that your next stage would be easy, as I mentioned, G3 or Al-Hafizun, and after that. So step by step, I think this is a great platform here. Though I am not happy with the attendance, I have just sent the email to all participants, the registrants. They have shown interest. They are more than 100, but the actual participation is about 15, 16, which is very, very not encouraging at all. Remember that the journey to Hifzul Quran, which is a very specialized and very particular field that is not available even in Itqa. This is only in the G course, in this system, that you go to that Hifzul Quran online, because this facility is not available there. This is particularly in this system. So you should take full benefit of that. And if any your brother or in your relatives wants to join that one, we have 1 week this week we can take them, and they can benefit of that one. Remember that our Hifzul Quran courses are only age oriented, age related. If you miss that particular age, you are not accepted, even your reading is very, very good, because that is a criteria of Al-Hafidhun. And these are the unique classes in this way that first of all, in Ahmadiyya world, this is the oldest online Hifzul Quran program, and now it has been linked nicely with the G system, and to complete the full. Okay, so I think you should be thankful to Almighty Allah first, and then also remember your teachers, your whole team in your prayers. So may Allah bless this class manifold, and inshallah see you. I will from time to time visit to monitor and to see that how is this class is progressing, this course is progressing. But ultimately, inshallah, on 7th March, when the final ceremony, the concluding ceremony will take place, I will also be with you, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam. Jazakumullah. Okay, so after those lovely words of wisdom, I hope that you're better equipped with what you're going to be doing in the next few weeks. Our students who stay with us are always wonderful and have really enjoyed it in the past. We will send out a reminder email to those that have not been able to join us today. Sometimes people are sick, and who knows. But inshallah, we will meet you all again tomorrow. So before we go, let's go to our prayers. And what we'll do is we will just go down to our closing prayer. And if I call a student to the mic to close. So let me call G286. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you too?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So is that are you a student of the course?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay then. So this is our closing prayer. Okay. And if I recite it, you follow, and then everybody else also follows as well, please. Okay. Allahumma
Allahumma
hamdi
hamdi
Bil-Qur'an
Bil-Qur'an
Azim.
Azim.
And the English translation.
O Allah, have mercy on me through the Quran, the Great.
Jazakumullah, mashallah. Very, very nicely done. Okay, and with that, we conclude our first class. Our teaching will start properly tomorrow. So inshallah, we will meet you again tomorrow at 6 o'clock sharp. For now, I close the class with Islamic greetings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.